Okay, can you hear us now?
Tell us if you can hear us now. Hopefully you can. Can people hear us now?
Yes.
Okay, we'll start over again. So this is Ms. Mara. I am an adult youth services librarian for Bloomfield Public Library. And this is my coworker, Sheila, who is a branch librarian at she works primarily just at the P. Faith McMahon Missionary Branch Library. And I work at the branch library and I work at the main library, Pastoral Library. And this is our third visit to restaurants. Our first one was Take 5 Cookery in the Hartford. And then we went to the Republic in Bloomfield. And now we are here at Peppers. And we are here with George. We are going to keep things very casual tonight. We have muted you, but you can unmute yourself. You can try and ask questions as we go, or you can put questions into chat, or you can wait till the end. Sheila and I are going to step aside, and we are going to have George teach us about Jamaican food, which happens to be one of my favorite foods.
Delicious.
Just the last reminder that we are recording, and hopefully no one has an issue with recording, and we are going to record, and we are going to put it onto YouTube, and we're going to put it on Facebook for the town of Bloomfield's Facebook page. Okay.
See you later.
Okay, as you heard, my name is George Scott, and I'm the owner of Peppers Jamaican Bakery. We've been in business for 25 years, serving the greater Hartford community, and we have enjoyed every moment of it, and we're glad to share this evening with you. Okay, Jamaican, as you can see, well, a lot of people, when they see me, they say I don't look Jamaican. That's because a lot of people don't realize that Jamaica's motto is out of many one people. And so we're actually a melting pot in Jamaica. And even though the majority of the natives are of African descent, there are a lot of other cultures that came into the island from hundreds of years ago. And they all had an impact on our culinary culture. So you can start with the foundation, which is the ingredients. The ingredients that are properly used in Jamaican cooking is natural ingredients in their natural state. So we would be cooking food with stuff like scallion, onions, thyme, and stuff like that. Now, the secret ingredient in Jamaican cooking really is the pepper. I'll show you it. This is the Scotch bonnet pepper, and it's from the habanero family. This pepper is unique to most peppers in that most peppers are either known for their heat or their flavor. Scotch bonnet peppers are actually known for both. So if used rightly in the dish that you are serving, they can really complement the dish, and they are really what makes the product, or one of the main things that makes the product Jamaican and unique from any other culture. And the Scotch bonnet pepper is actually indigenous to Jamaica. And in modern times, they've had a lot of modification of peppers, and so they've modified and made peppers that are hotter and all that sort of stuff. But back in the day, Scotch bonnet was actually known as the hottest pepper in the world. So it really is something that you have to be very careful with when you're using. So I don't want to spend too much time on the pepper, but it's a very important part of the cooking. So because the pepper is so hot, but it also lends flavor, how you use it really is important, and that's part of the main learning curve of cooking Jamaican. The young green Scotch bonnet is not as hot, but has an enhanced flavor. So if you are not looking for so much heat and more looking for the flavor that comes from the Scotch bonnet, then the young green Scotch bonnet is your preferred choice. The riper it is, the more hotter it gets. The other thing about Scotch bonnet is that the heat, the real heat of the pepper is on the inside, in the seed. So if you look at the Scotch bonnet pepper up close, you'll see that the pepper, when you cut it open, it has a lot of seeds in there. Those seeds are where the real heat is, and that's what will hit you for 6. So in certain dishes, we don't even allow the pepper to break at all. We just barely rest the pepper in the pot and allow it to just simmer, just to get some of the flavor of the pepper into the dish. The other thing now, as I said, we're out of many want people. In the early to mid 1800s, when slavery was in Jamaica, we were one of the earlier countries to have slavery abolished. As a matter of fact, they stopped bringing slaves from just in barely the turn of the century in the 1800s. So like 1808 or stuff, they stopped bringing them all together. So what eventually happened was the demand for labor, they started to have a shortage of labor. And that's what caused the influx of natives from other countries. So that's how long ago we had an influx from China, India, and countries like that. Of course, when Christopher Columbus discovered Jamaica, there were already natives on the island. Those natives were called Arawak Indians, and they had their methods of cooking too. When the Spanish came, they left a mark on our culture in terms of contributing to what is now known as Jamaican cuisine. Jamaica was under Spanish rule for, I stand corrected, but about 160 years. And then the English came and took over, and they ruled for over 300 years. So when the English came now, of course, they contributed their part to the Jamaican culture. Now, when the natives came from like India and China, and they came to Jamaica, part of their problem was that they could not really bring their cuisine to its 100% state, because some of the ingredients that they would use in their dishes were not available. And that's why we have modified versions of these melting pots of cultures that came in. For example, if you go into an Indian restaurant, you can order chicken curry. If you come into a Jamaican restaurant, you order curry chicken. And it's appropriate for us to say it differently, because there is, when you taste it, you can see the significant difference in it. So that is an example of how we have taken other cultures and sort of modified to what is now Jamaican. Another good example, another interesting product that we carry is jerk, what we call jerk, the process of jerk. We jerk pork, jerk chicken, jerk fish, we jerk all different kinds of things. The two most popular meats that are jerked is jerk chicken and jerk pork. But a lot of people don't eat pork, and that's how the jerk chicken became so popular. The jerk pork actually was the original jerk. So when jerk, from the early days, when the Maroons, now when the first people to bring slaves to Jamaica were the Spanish. And of course, they were escorted to Jamaica, but somewhat against their will. So some of them took off. They decided they were not going to work on the plantations, and they took off into the hills. And they were called the Maroons. When they went up into the hills, they had the Arawak Indians. So up in the hills there, you had Arawak Indians and you had Maroons. And the Arawak Indians, they had what you would call up here more of like a beef jerky. They used the process to dry the meat, salt it and dry it so that it had a longer shelf life. Because when they caught game, they didn't know when they were going to catch the next game, so they had to make what they had last. So that's how the jerk process originally started. When the Maroons came, which were basically Africans, came and they went up, they sort of modified the process. And it has been, they probably contributed most to the modifying process to what jerk chicken and pork is today. But basically, it was done on like a coal bed of fire, and then raised, like 6 to 12 inches off the ground, would be like laths of pimento wood. And then there would be green pimento wood with possibly some green leaves as well. And this would create this heavy smoke and flavor that would get absorbed into the meat, and hence that was what jerk was, and that's how it came. It's still, that process is still used to a large extent in Jamaica, but there are more modified processes that are used to make it more available all over the place, in every street corner and everything, because it's such a popular item. Now, going back to the different cultures, and I was saying that different cultures contributed different things to Jamaica. Like the Jamaican beef patty, which was the original turnover that we had down there, that actually came from England. It was the Cornish pastries that were designed and made in a similar fashion. That was the prototype. That's where Jamaican patties came from. Of course, the product that we have now that we call Jamaican patties are nothing like Cornish pastries, but that's how that was the evolution actually came. The source of that evolution came from England. The other thing too is, even when I was a child and I went into what we call a patty shop, it would be Jamaican patties, because in Jamaica a patty is what we call Jamaican patties. Up here we call it Jamaican patties, so it's not confused with an American patty that you would have in a hamburger. So you walk into a patty shop in Jamaica, and you just order a patty and a cocoa bread, and maybe a drink. And that's basically all that they would have in a lot of these stores. But there were so many of them being sold that it was actually lucrative enough to just have patties and cocoa bread and drinks, and that would be it. So time has obviously evolved, and over the years, they realized that they could put a lot of other different fillings in these products. So you started with chicken, and then you went to, and now we have 7 different varieties here at Pepper's Jamaican Baker, for example. So we changed even the outer layer. So like we have a cornbread that's filled with spinach and cheese. We have a whole wheat that's filled with broccoli and cheese. And we have cocoa bites, which is a beef hot dog wrapped with cocoa bread and cheese. A lot of the products do have cheese in it, but we also have a mixed vegetable that has no cheese. And we have a cornbread with, well, we don't have the cornbread and cheese here now, but we have callaloo and saltfish and ackee and saltfish. Now, earlier I had mentioned about pimento, and a lot of people say pimento. I've heard of pimento before. Pimento up here is what you call allspice. That's what everybody knows that. But in Jamaica, it was and still is pimento. When the word was originally named, it was actually by the Spanish. And I'll show you the pimento in its raw form looks like pepper seeds. And so when Christopher Columbus and family came to Jamaica, they called it pimenta because they thought it was a type of pepper. And of course, pimenta would make it female, but we changed it to pimento. I guess we were male chauvinists back then, so we changed it to pimento. So hence, it's now called pimento in Jamaica. And don't tell us otherwise. This is pimento, but we will accept allspice today. Okay. So they came and they found that in Jamaica. So that was somewhat indigenous to Jamaica, like the Scotch bonnet pepper. But we use a lot of curry in Jamaica. And we have curry dishes, as I explained earlier. And that obviously is the Indian influence. The English influence, like I said, was the beef patties would have come from the influence from England. And they also influenced the bread that we bake, what we call hardo bread and the cocoa bread. That was from England. And when I learned that, I was actually surprised because a lot of our customers are from Africa. And they come in and they buy the bread and say it's very similar to the bread that they have back home. So I don't know how that is. I don't know if that England influenced them as well, or if it's just coincidental. But it's 2 very similar baking methods. But where we got it from was not from Africa. It was actually from England. The national dish that we have in Jamaica is ackee and saltfish. Now, ackee originally is not from Jamaica, and saltfish is not originally from Jamaica. Saltfish, we call it saltfish, but it's what a lot of people call bacalao. I don't know any other name that it's carried by, but I know bacalao is a popular name for it. And the whites, our national dish is that the ackee, which came from the west coast of Africa and was brought to Jamaica, was more looked at as an ornamental plant. It's very attractive, and it's a beautiful fruit that bear on a tree, and they're red. They're a very bright engine red. So very attractive. And when the pods open up, they expose the fruit inside, which is yellow with a big, huge black seed. So even the transition of when it opens up, it's even more attractive. And these fruit can stay on the tree for quite a long time. So as an ornamental tree, it's very attractive. You wouldn't find it here in Connecticut because it's a tropical plant, but it is very popular as an ornamental plant. But Jamaica cooks it regularly, and it's very popular in Jamaica. And they made the connection with the ackee and the saltfish, and because of its popularity and the amount it's consumed in Jamaica, and the uniqueness in that the dish is indigenous to Jamaica, it became our national dish. Now, we also make a turnover with ackee in it, and with the ackee and saltfish in it because it's so popular. The ackee, I'm Jamaican, so I'll say it tastes great, and everybody's gonna have their own preference. But National Geographic, they actually had a top 10 list of the best dishes, and the ackee and saltfish actually came second as a national dish. Top 10 national dishes, and ackee and saltfish came second. So that was, so that's the story of ackee and saltfish, and you now know about. Then of course a lot of the tropical stuff that you get in other tropical islands, like we have the plantain, and we have pepper steak that obviously is an influence. From Spain, we're talking about Spanish influence. One of the popular ways of cooking fish in Jamaica is escovitch, and that is definitely from Hispanic origin, and that would have come from Spain. So some of these are very similar to how it is from their back country, but a lot of them are very different. And part of the problem, like I said, was the availability of the ingredients that they had in their country that they had to modify it. So if you go to Jamaica, for example, and you were to go into a Chinese restaurant, we would have similar dishes, same names and everything, but the taste would be slightly different from what you get up here. And you'll have to taste it for yourself, but I'm not going to give you my opinion on that because obviously it's biased. But if you want the experience of Jamaican food, I'm not really going to the cooking of any of the dishes in too much detail today, but if you wanted Jamaican food, most people just come and they buy it, because the problem with is that not only the dishes for the most part tend to be marinated and then cooked very slowly in a long, slow process. So people don't really have time for that. So you'll have Jamaicans that have their customary, they'll get up Sunday morning and they'll start from in the morning and they'll prepare their Sunday dinner and they'll prepare the food. But for the everyday person who is on the go, the best thing to do is to come to Pepper's Jamaican Bakery, and we will provide that ready-made. We will go through the painstaking process that takes to prepare these products. And like I said, we've been serving the Greater Hartford community for 25 years, and we actually have 2 convenient locations. The other one is in East Hartford on Burnside Avenue, and this one here is in the Cookbook Shopping Center in Bloomfield. I hope you guys have enjoyed this presentation. I did not, before I go, I'll show you some of the products that we carry. So on this dish we have the cocoa bite that I had described, which is like a beef hot dog with cocoa bread and cheese. This is callaloo and saltfish. It's prepared similar to the ackee and saltfish, but it's callaloo. Callaloo is like a green leafy vegetable. And here we have a cornbread with spinach and cheese. As you can see, one of these things are pretty big, and for most people, one of these would satisfy the average person, but you're welcome to 2. And so Once again, thank you very much for joining us here. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope I was able to impart something new to you today. And God bless you all. Thank you. It is the best day because out there so cold, and you're not now in nice warm Jamaica. See, you can have on short sleeve. Come again soon.
I have a few questions for you.
Okay.
First of all, what are the hours of both of the cafes, the bakeries?
Okay, well, good question. This location here is open from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday to Saturday.
Okay,
Both locations are closed on Sunday.
okay.
We like I said, we have to go home and we have to cook our Sunday dinners and explain that takes a little time.
And what are the hours in East Hartford?
East Hartford, Monday to Wednesday is 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. On Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays, we open from 9 in the morning until 9 p.m.
Excellent. Can you discuss some of the sodas, which I absolutely love, Jamaican sodas?
Okay.
Can you discuss some of the drinks that you sell?
All right. Well, obviously, we carry all the regular drinks. We carry Coke, we carry all the drinks that would normally found an abundance of water and stuff. So we do carry all the regular beverages, but we also carry an array of beverages from Jamaica. And the ones that I have on display I can keep on display. I actually have other ones that have to be kept refrigerated because they're natural products that will spoil. But, so some of these things we would actually have in a more natural form in the fridge if you so desire. But this is the Grace Kennedy is a very large producer in the Caribbean, and they have a line of beverages called Tropical Rhythms, and they have a variety of different flavors. This one here is pineapple guava, which is, that's an exotic, guava is an exotic food that you would not see every day. And then this one is sorrel and ginger. Now, everybody knows ginger, but sorrel is actually from the hibiscus family, and it bears profusely around Christmas time. So the drink is so popular, we actually serve it here all year round. And the reason why we're able to is because you can dry it and then you draw it like tea. But at Christmas time, it actually is when it perfused with berries. And so it is well known as a Christmas beverage. And so while you're sitting at your table having your eggnog, we're having our sorrel. Another thing that is very much traditional for the seasons is we have spice buns, and the spice buns actually are another influence from England, from the crossbuns, hot cross buns, and they evolved into what they are, which is also very different from hot cross buns. The point I'm getting to here is that most people who have not tried Jamaican food will find that there are items here that are somewhat a modified version of stuff that you're accustomed to having. So it's a very easy transition into trying Jamaican cuisine if you have not tried it already. We do have exotics that you might not have tried before. We have oxtail, which is cooked down. It takes a slow process, so the meat is falling off the bone. We cook curry goat, which is actually very popular in a lot of countries, not just Jamaica, but is not as popular here in the United States.
Sorry.
So, were there any other questions, or is that?
Yes, no, we have a few that people have typed in. Somebody wants to know if you do Uber Eats or DoorDash.
We are not actually signed up with those services, but you can get services through them because we do get people that come in and pick up meals through DoorDash.
They just contacted us. So. Okay, and then somebody wants to know about your meatloaf. They said they love it. They'd like you to talk about your meatloaf.
Okay, the meatloaf is very similar to the beef patty in terms of the filling. The filling is prepared in a similar fashion to what is in the beef patty. Our meatloaf is slightly different from our beef patty. The bread that's on the outside, that is actually cocoa bread. And so we prepare the meat have the meat is prepared and put into the raw dough, and then it's put in the oven and baked. But that's basically meatloaf, which is another good example of something that's very different from what is known as meatloaf here in the United States.
Can you give us a sense of what ingredients you put in the meatloaf? Maybe not everything, but just a sense that someone wants to try and make it at home.
Okay, you probably go online and if you go online and look at the process to make a beef patty, then that's basically the same filling. You know, beef patty is different, each meatloaf is different, but the concept of the filling for the meatloaf, that's where you get the filling. The bread on the outside is the cocoa bread. And the ingredients in the bread are similar to what you'd see in any bread. The only thing is the yeast that we use is a wet yeast. But I won't be able to go into the details of the recipes. But once again, you might be able to find a cocoa bread recipe. And if you have that, then you'll be able to create something. So you're asking about the meatloaf, and for those who don't know the meatloaf, this is the meatloaf right here.
Oh.
All right. And then you have the beef and chicken patties.
Okay, and then do you ever offer cooking classes or cooking demonstrations?
We do not at the moment, but we do offer catering.
Oh, okay.
But you know,
That's great to
we
know.
do offer catering. With you know, with the COVID and all of that stuff going on, there hasn't been as much. You know, it's taken a hard hit on stuff like events and stuff like that, and weddings. But people do. You can also come in or you can order. You can just come in and pick it up. But you can call and order pans of the different dishes. So if you come in here like something and you wanted to use it in a family gathering, but you didn't want a full-blown catering, we do provide the actual containers of food. If you're actually catering a full event, like a wedding or a sweet 16 or a party or anything like that, we do various levels of catering. So once again, you could just order 3 or 4 dishes, come and grab them and take them and include them in what you have at your party or wedding or whatever. If, however, you wanted, we would be able to come and set up a buffet style at your facility, and we have the facilities to bring that in hot cold boxes, and we have the chafing dishes and all that kind of stuff. So you'll be able to put that with a nice presentation for you for a buffet style dinner. If, however, you, like I said, if you're coming to pick up the meals and you want it in a larger quantity for parties, we have it in 2 different sizes. The regular foil pans, and this is the small, and then the large is twice the size. So that's it for cooking. I mean,
So I have always wondered, I happen to love ackee as salted. Is it a fruit or a vegetable?
it's actually a fruit. It's a fruit, and it, like I said, it bears on a tree.
Yeah.
And it bears in abundance. When that thing is bearing, the tree is laden with these ackee. And ackee is actually a very tricky fruit. So you have to allow it to mature and to open up for it to be safe.
And
But once it opens up, then it's
the
safe.
person wants to know what you think it tastes like.
Some people, well, you can put in yours. The ackee itself actually looks like scrambled eggs. But for the taste,
Oh.
here you go. This is the ackee and saltfish right here.
So
So it's very attractive.
That's the turnip.
So it's very, and we also have, like I said, it in the turnover. The outer casing for the ackee and saltfish that we have in our home is a cocoa bread, because that replicates one of the more popular ways of eating ackee. You would eat ackee with a number of different ways, but one of the ways you'd have it with bread. So having it in the cocoa bread is a very satisfying.
Then I wanted to ask you another thing I absolutely love is all the different porridges, especially like the corn porridges. Do you sell any porridges here, and what type of porridges do you like?
Okay, well, the porridges are primarily a breakfast item, and we do not really concentrate on breakfast. In East Hartford, we don't carry breakfast at all. In the Kapapa location, on Fridays and Saturdays, we do have a small menu that we serve, and included on that is the ackee and saltfish, but unfortunately, we do not carry any porridges.
But you have ackee and saltfish.
We do have ackee and
here
saltfish on
Fridays and
Fridays and
Saturdays?
Saturday morning.
Oh, that's great.
We eat it all the time, morning, noon, and night, but it is actually more popular as a breakfast item.
Yes.
It's a sort of high breakfast.
Yes, yes. And I have one last question. I don't know if you said it, the Scotch pepper originally
Scotch
came
bonnet.
from, Scotch bonnet pepper came from England, correct?
No.
Oh,
No.
Scotch pepper is indigenous to Jamaica.
oh, okay, all
And
right.
it is called Scotch bonnet because of its shape. It's one,
Like a bonnet.
but it's sort of shaped like a
Oh,
bonnet.
with a bonnet.
And then, like I said, the inside with the seats. Gotta be. I have to make sure I wash my hands now, or else if I get this in my eyes, trust me.
Very hot.
And someone wanted to know what your favorite dish is.
Oh man, that's a toughie. I sort of go in waves. My favorite dish, one of the most popular dishes in Jamaica actually is curry goat. If you're having for breakfast is one of the number one items with the ackee and saltfish. But if you're having a party, there's no party you go to really without curry goat. It's a unique taste. I really encourage you to try and taste it because it's so different from the other meats, and it really it involves a lot of seasoning and preparation and stuff. And so it is quite an experience, something that you could try.
I got a question. What part of the goat that you use, the leg, or what's the best part to use?
The body.
The body of the goats, the meat. I mean, actually, there are parts of the goat that's used to make soup. Even the head is used. But for the curry goat that we would serve here would be the meaty part of the body that is cut up it's diced up in like about 1 inch cubes, and that's so it's cooked. It's cooked in like 1 inch cubes of pure meat. And there's not a lot of fat in goat either, so it's very meaty.
The other thing, if you could talk to us about Jamaican desserts, which have always interested me, because they don't get as much recognition as other Jamaican food.
Okay, now the desserts, I'd mentioned the bun, and this bun here it's very big in Eastern, it's very Jamaican and stuff. Desserts in general, there are not a lot of desserts that I would say are actually Jamaican. There are a lot of desserts that are tropical. So I don't want to lay claim to these desserts, but I can show you some of them.
Yes.
And if there are any non-Jamaican Caribbean people, please do not get annoyed with me, because all of these items, they have different names in different countries.
Right.
And so some of the names that we have for these items, so I'll teach you my Jamaican name, because if you're getting it here, you might use it to have the Jamaican name. So that's not the name used in a lot of the other, even other small islands. They don't, in some cases, they don't use the same name. This in Jamaica we call a peanut drop, and it's basically like
I love it. It's delicious.
peanut brittle.
Yes.
It's not much. It's basically like a peanut brittle. And then we don't have any of the coconut drops, which is like coconut. Here you go. It looks very similar, coconut drop, and it's basically like a coconut brittle. And then we have the what we call grater cake, which is because the coconut is grated. But this too has different names, but this is especially children like because of the color and how it's attractive. But this is basically sweetened grated coconuts. But if you're a coconut person, this is something for you to chew a piece off and just have it sort of, it's hard, but you chew a piece off and sort of have it melt in your mouth. And if you're a candy person, then this is for you. You don't have any desire.
And Jamaican rum cake. You want to speak about the rum cake? Ooh, I love rum cake.
You got rum cake?
No,
We do not carry rum cake here, but rum cake is popular mostly like at weddings and at Christmas and at functions like that. Here's another item, and this, you ask me why it's called gizzard, but this is called a gizzard.
Then the only other thing, I used to come all the time and buy loaves of bread because I have 4 kids. Can you show us the different loaves of breads that you sell?
Okay, well, there's not much difference in the breads.
That's the
This-
one I bought all the time. The color.
Right. Basically, we have one kind of bread apart from the cocoa bread. We have basically one kind of bread in Jamaica, and that's the hardo bread. But we have slight variations of it, and this one here, which is very popular, is called milk bread. So it just has, it does have a small amount of milk in it, but it is
And this is a family recipe.
right.
With scotch.
But you have many different recipes and stuff. And then we also carry like a sugar bun, which is rolled, and cinnamon bun.
Someone wants to know what is bula?
Bula.
Bula.
Bula. This is a bula right here. And the bula has like, it's pretty firm, and it's sweet, but it's a very spicy dessert. So it has like ginger in it and stuff, and so but this is bula and very popular in Jamaica.
With cheese.
And sometimes served with cheese, but you can have it by itself or with cheese.
And that's the last thing I was going to ask you. You serve the bun and cheese sandwiches here?
You can you can buy the loaves of bun, you can buy the cheese, and you can buy them together.
But the cheese is so fantastic. Tell us just a little about the cheese.
Okay. Well, we do have cheese that we call Jamaican cheese. And it is by far consumed.
My favorite.
So this is the bun and cheese sandwich that we carry. And this is the Jamaican cheese. This is how it comes in a can called tasty cheese. But we don't really sell the can. We sell them in smaller portions. And the Jamaican cheese is pretty expensive because the cheese market here is very controlled. So they censor the amount of cheese that we're allowed to import from Jamaica, and the amount that's allowed to come in is a lot less than the demand, so it sort of drives the price up. But it's something worth tasting. And like I said, the Jamaican cheese that we call, it's actually made in Jamaica and everything, but its origin is not Jamaica. It's actually from New Zealand.
Anybody else have any questions? Someone wants to know if you have any gluten-free dishes or desserts. And I guess you use gluten-free flour in your sauces or cornstarch.
They are not gluten-free at the moment, no.
Okay. And they want to know, someone else, what day do you make bread?
The bread is made daily, 7 days a week, actually.
That's a family recipe.
Right.
Your own family
But-
recipe.
Right, it's a family recipe. Most of the stuff that we sell here is made here, obviously, but the breads are not made here, but they're made locally in Hartford, and they are made, and it's actually I have family that also have bakeries, and they make the product.
And they want to know, maybe in the future sometime, would you consider doing gluten-free choices?
Yes, that is something that we will look into. But we're right now, we have really stuck to traditional, and so we haven't tried to stray from that too much because we want to stick to the authenticity because that's our little niche. But the demand for gluten is growing, and so it is something that we definitely would look into exploring. Yes.
Wait, one more. There's a question I actually know the answer to. Has it always been tradition to eat patties and cocoa bread?
Patties and cocoa bread are husband and wife.
Yeah.
Yes, they've been around from the beginning of time. And so some people will just have beef patty, but especially here in the United States, beef patty and cocoa bread are very popular. So most of the beef patties that we sell are sold with cocoa bread. And the way the cocoa bread is designed, that if you carefully nudge it, you can sort of open it up and stick the beef patty in it and make a sandwich. So yes, so the cocoa bread is very popular and it's baked all day, every day.
And so much better than McDonald's or any of those places. And for people that are vegetarian, I come in and get the vegetable one all the time. It's delicious.
Yes, the meals here are a lot more satisfying. Sometimes you go to McDonald's and eat a hot dog, and by the time you reach on the street, you're still hungry. That's not really the case with these products.
Yeah. With the cocoa bread, you can add fish inside, you can add vegetables.
Right.
Hi, I'm
Yes,
Opal.
this is
I was gonna
Opal.
introduce, this is Opal. I wanted to tell you guys, she's been helping us out, and this, I don't know your name, but you have to come
Yeah,
up.
I was trying to encourage her.
Yes, yes, she looked like
I
you
was trying
belong.
to encourage her. She's now brave enough, but she didn't want to come.
And this is.
And this is Tavine. She's been with us for many, many years.
Yes.
And, we would find it hard to do without her.
Yeah, she's a wealth of information. She's been telling us how you cook everything.
We are very, very grateful to have you in town, and we love your food. We love coming in, and we're thankful for your time tonight, and just makes us want to come visit you that much more often. We really, really appreciate you and appreciate this session tonight.
Awesome.
Well, that's
Thank
very
you.
nice of you to say, and please tell a friend because we'd love to see you.
I have friends, some truck drivers that come down from Springfield. I brought them into your place one day. So then they call me, hey, I'm going down. They let me know they're coming down to see you. So I'm sending people your way.
That's wonderful. We get a lot of stories like that, and it really just empowers us to keep going because we love it. Thank you so much for saying that.
My pleasure.
Are there any other questions? No. Well, I guess we're gonna end now, so thank you so much.
Thank you for coming.
Wonderful.
Out of your way for us.
I know, this
We're
was
so grateful.
fantastic. Thank you.
And maybe, who knows, in the summer, if you're interested, we could do another meeting.
We'd love to.
Okay,
Okay.
Great.
all right, excellent.
All right.
Okay.
Well done.
Nice to meet you all.
Thank you
Well
so
done.
much.
Well done.
Thank you.
All right.
Good night.
Bye.
All right. Bye.